Today I'm going to interview the owner of one of the rarest E-classes in the world. It's an E55 AMG painted in a basically one-off color. It's a metallic green from factory mixed with blue and purple, so the light changes the color, kind of like a Nissan GTR. Today we're going to find out how on earth this car came to exist, learn its history, and how much it would cost if you want to buy one. So right here I'm with the owner. Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Brandon Cordova, and this is my 1998 Mercedes E55 Wagon.
So tell me about this car. Why did you buy it and what's the history?
So I bought this car from Germany. It's in a very unusual Designo LCP liquid crystal paint. And what also made this car really unique is that it actually has a one-off interior. So usually when these left the factory, they wouldn't have leather dash, leather door panels. It even has a suede headliner and pillars. This car was definitely a special order, and that's what made me decide this had to be the one for me.
So this is how it left the factory. You haven't changed or modified it.
The only thing that I have done is I've painted the wheels body color, and these are off of an SL. These are two-piece BBS wheels. But other than that, no, the car is basically stock.
So how on earth does someone get to order this from factory? Surely not anyone can just walk in and be like, yes, I want green and blue and purple.
Yeah, this definitely would have been a VIP. So it would have been either somebody that was high up in corporate, or it would have been a customer who has bought from Mercedes before, because this paint wasn't even offered on the E-Class. This was in a very unusual Designo that was only for the SL of the time.
So you could get this on the R129.
You can get it on the R129. I've actually never seen one with it, but it was an available color for that vehicle.
Yeah, I've literally never seen an R129 in this shade. So there are 3 cars in this color, right?
As far as I know, there were 3 E-classes that were painted this color. Yes, there's this one. There is an E60 Wagon, which is actually also in the United States. And then there was an E55 sedan that made its way to Russia. That car I haven't seen anything about. I don't know if it still exists.
So this one is an E55 Wagon, and then the other one, the E60 is also a wagon, but the other one's a sedan.
That's correct.
How on earth did you find it?
So there's a website in Europe called AutoScout24. It's basically the US's equivalent of AutoTrader. And I've been looking for an E55 wagon, so I've been on the hunt because these were never offered in the US. I saw this car and I knew it was the one for me. Reached out to the owner probably 10 times, no response. And finally, my good friend Vince had a friend who had a broker in Germany and was able to help transact it for me.
And that's how you got the car, so you had to import it.
I did, yeah. So imported the car from Germany. This is my first time doing that. And yeah, thankfully, knock on wood, it all came over just fine.
Did that add a lot of cost to buying it?
I was very lucky. I got in just before the tariff started to hit. Okay. So this car only had a 2.5% tariff on it. But otherwise, yes, there are a lot of costs, such as transport to the port, actually transporting it on the ship, and then all the documentation that has to be done along the way. So yeah, it almost doubled the price of the car from what I paid for it.
Oh, even still, without the tariffs?
Yes. I got the car for a pretty good price, and it had quite a bit of deferred maintenance. So
what do you have to do on this car to get it up to the condition it's in now?
So this motor, the M113, is probably one of Mercedes' best engines that they ever made, and it's very reliable. But this car being 28 years old and having about 120,000 miles on it, had a lot of deferred maintenance. So these are known for valve cover gaskets, needed a water pump, needed an AC compressor. Obviously it did new spark plugs, wires, but just sort of that basic stuff. And now that stuff is done, the car is extremely reliable. In fact, I'm taking it on a 1,000-mile trip this weekend.
So a road trip in it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So you're not afraid to drive it?
Oh no, this is a driver. Yeah, this is a car that's gonna get driven. I wanna drive it into the ground.
Wow, so you plan to keep it forever once you've got it now, I guess?
I do, and then when the motor goes eventually one day, then the question is, do you go 55K motor? Do you go naturally aspirated V12? Regardless, the car is gonna get a 6-speed conversion as well.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Wow, okay. Now this color is insane because in this light, it's fully blue. Look at that. And then if I turn to this side, it's green. That is so crazy.
It's a wild color, and it comes in so many different hues. Everything from like a deep blue that almost looks non-metallic all the way to like a heavy green metallic and everywhere in between.
Do you mind if I look at the interior?
Of course.
Because that's just as crazy as the outside. You've got a fire extinguisher in there.
Yeah, so it has the Designo two-tone seats, has the factory fire extinguisher. You can see the all the stitching, the contrast stitching. That's something that was not offered as a factory option, so that would have been done by AMG at the factory, along with the leather dash, Alcantara headliner, and pillars.
Oh, even this is green, I just realized, on top of the steering wheel.
Yes, yeah, that was part of the Designo package. Mm-hmm.
Wow, yep, all the green there. Man, do you know what the MSRP was on this?
No, I don't, but it probably was close to double the price of the stock car at the time.
This is just unreal. And I noticed on the back, it's got no badges. Was that a factory option?
You know, to be honest, I don't know if that was done from the factory on this vehicle. I do know that in Germany, particularly with AMGs or other high performance vehicles, they're a little bit more subdued. They don't like to show off. So a lot of times debadging was very common of this era on these types of vehicles.
Wow. Well, do you mind if we take it for a spin?
Let's go.
So now we are in the E55. I have to say, it's immediate Mercedes quality inside this car. I just love this generation.
This is the gold standard. I mean, this was the best era for Mercedes in my opinion, and this is probably the most reliable vehicle that Mercedes ever built.
So when you were searching for one of these, did you expect to find one in this Designo rare spec, or were you just wanting any E55?
I was just looking for any, and then when I saw this, just being a Mercedes dork, you know, I knew that this spec wouldn't be found again, so I had to, you know, do whatever I could to make sure I got this vehicle.
And have you had a lot of people try and buy it off you already?
I have, yeah, surprisingly. I probably had at least 10 people try to buy it off me at this point, but for me, it's a keeper, and there's no replacement cost, so.
Yeah, I'm so glad it's gone to such a good home that, you know, you're actually going to use it, drive it, because most cars that end up like this, they're in a collection and they never get seen again. They get parked in 100 other Mercedes.
Yeah, and for me, I want my cars driven, and that's important, and I use them. Like, I'm going to be putting 1,000 miles on it this weekend.
Wow. Do you have friends with these kind of cars? You know, you have a group?
Yeah, you know, I have friends in all different worlds, and I've come from many different worlds. You know, before this, I had a Ferrari 355.
Oh, wow.
I've had Porsches. I started off in the Benz scene so I was in that for a while, but I like all cars, and I have a very diverse group of friends. But yeah, definitely some Mercedes buddies as well.
I had no idea you had a Ferrari before this. So
I
why
did.
did you sell that and buy the old Wagon?
You know, it was I loved that car, and I really made it my own. I did center lock wheels, coilovers, big brakes, full carbon interior. It was an awesome car. It was too stressful to drive. I like to drive my cars, and it was becoming too stressful to figure out where I can park it, what driveways I can get up, and I just decided I needed to get rid of some stress, so I sold that car. I picked up this, and I also have a Gen 1 Lotus Elise with a Honda Integra Type R motor in it, so I have kind of the best of all worlds.
What a cool two-car garage.
I think it's the best two-car solution.
So what got you into cars?
My dad was always a car guy growing up, and then I have an older brother who, when I was younger, was a mini trucker. And so not only did I have the car influence, but I also had the modification influence. And so while this car today is fairly stock, there's definitely going to be some mods coming down the line.
A lot of people that buy this car would also never modify it, you know, maybe a Rentec tune or something, but most people would just be like, no, Mercedes stock perfectionists.
Yeah, that's not me. You know, for me, the car is a representation of you, and it's a way for you to kind of give your own personality in the vehicle. Obviously, this one being so rare, I'm not going to go too wild with it, but yeah, I definitely need to still put my stamp on it.
So what made you want an E55 W210 generation instead of like a 211, 212?
Been there. So I had a 211 E500 wagon. I've had a CL55. I've had a CLS63. I've had an E400 wagon. I've had many Mercedes. My first was a W202 C-Class, which I absolutely loved. But at the time, the 210 was always my love, and never got around to having one. And then after the Ferrari was gone, this came up, and I thought, well, now's my time to, you know, get my childhood dream car.
Yeah, and you've done it. You know, do you prefer this over the Ferrari, being honest?
You know, it's a lot less stressful. Mm-hmm. So there was nothing like the Ferrari. What I tell people is that, you know, the Lotus to me is, you know, it's 1,700 pounds. It's got 200 horsepower. The power to weight is insane. It's like a go-kart. So when I drive the Lotus, to me, it's 90% of the fun of the Ferrari, with about 5% the running costs and about 5% the headache. So I'm a very analytical guy. And so when I look at that math, I'm like, that checks out. Makes sense.
You had one of the sickest F355s that I think I've seen online. I love that thing. But this is a different kind of cool.
It is. You know what I like is that this is a very much a if you know type of car. The 355 got attention from everyone, and sometimes it was good attention and sometimes it wasn't good attention, and I didn't like that. With this, you're very under the radar, right? If it's somebody who knows Mercedes and knows what they're looking at, they're freaking out. But for most people, it's just a soccer dad vehicle, and it's old, and I like that.
Yeah. Do you have kids or a wife, a family?
I do. I have 3 little boys and a wife, and they love to pile in here and go cruising PCH on the weekends.
I was going to say, that's the cool part about this, a wagon, is you can take it and you can have your whole family in it.
It's really great for that. There's a lot of utility. I mean, it's got a ton of room in the trunk, and you know, it's got power as well. So it's kind of it's a best all-around vehicle for us.
Yeah, can we get a quick pull in it?
Yeah, sure. You tell me when you're...
Right now, let's go. See what it does. It still gets up there.
It boogies.
It still goes pretty quick. I mean, it's an AMG after all.
Yeah.
Now, this car doesn't have the third row, does it?
It doesn't, unfortunately. That's one of the only 2 options I believe it didn't leave the factory with, is third row, and then actually rear heated seats was also a Euro option.
Oh, really?
Other than that, I believe it has every other option checked.
Wow, I didn't even know you could get that heated. That's crazy.
Yeah, then Europe, there, you know, in the US, we were so limited on colors and options, and in Europe, they had so much more configurability, and the cars could just be that much more unique and special.
So, if you were recommending an E55 to someone, what would you say they should look out for when buying one?
So, the biggest issue on these cars is rust. And so you want to make sure you're checking around the tailgate, check the fenders and the doors, because depending on where it lived, a lot of these do have some rust. That's one thing. Other than that, the engine and transmission are some of the most reliable built from Mercedes. And so as long as you get a proper pre-purchase inspection, and I would recommend a compression test just to make sure that the motor is healthy. Other than that, it's just going to be, you know, a little bit of maintenance, but they're fantastic cars. Highly recommend, very reliable.
So there's not much to look out for, honestly.
There really isn't. No, the biggest thing is going to be the rust. And beyond that, just a good pre-purchase inspection. Expect to spend a little bit of money. The nice thing is that parts are pretty relative, they're plentiful, and not too expensive either.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. This car's been on my list since 7-8 months ago when I first saw it. And now to finally check it off is so cool. I'm so glad that you have it. Oh, look at this. We've got a Ferrari next to us.
Yeah. Welcome to Southern California.
Yes, welcome to Southern California. And he's not even looking, so I don't think he knows. But thank you so much. It's so cool. People want to follow you and see this car, where can they?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Instagram, das_dumped.
There we go. Go follow him. If you want to be in one of these videos, you can apply. The link is in the description. Submit your vehicle. Maybe I'll come do a video with you. In the meantime, never ever quit your dreams, and remember, God loves you. See you in the next video.
My heart is beating. I think I want something